I'm Sandra, and I'm just the professional your small business was looking for. But you didn't hire me because you didn't use LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn has professionals you can't find anywhere else, including those who aren't actively looking for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role, like me.
In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you'll miss out on great candidates like Sandra. Start hiring professionals like a professional. Post your free job on linkedin.com/spoken today.
Millions of people have lost weight with personalized plans from Noom. Like Evan, who can't stand salads and still lost 50 pounds.
Salads generally for most people are the easy button, right? For me, that wasn't an option. I never really was a salad guy. That's just not who I am. But Noom worked for me.
Get your personalized plan today at Noom.com. Real Noom user compensated to provide their story. In 4 weeks, the typical Noom user can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Individual results may vary.
Many of us have those stubborn pounds that seem impossible to lose, no matter how good we eat or how hard we work out. My solution is PlushCare. PlushCare is a leading telehealth provider with doctors who are there for you day and night to partner with you in your weight loss journey. They can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound for those who qualify. Plus, they accept most insurance plans. To get started, visit plushcare.com/weightloss. That's plushcare.com/weightloss.
Hello, and welcome to Voices from the Battlefield, part of Waterloo Remembered. This extract is read by Jim Deary, a historian from Maynooth University in Ireland, and consists of the recollections of Ross Lewin.
I have chosen Major Harry Ross Lewin as my voice from the battlefield for a number of reasons. First and foremost, Ross Lewin was Irish and hailed from one of the most beautiful and rugged counties on our western Atlantic seaboard, County Clare. A further reason for my selection was that he was from the Protestant ascendancy ruling social class in Ireland. Irish soldiers in the British Army during this period tend to be mainly associated with a predominantly Catholic rank and file. However, like so many Irish Protestant ascendancy families, the Ross Lewins had a strong military tradition. 3 sons served during the Napoleonic Wars. Harry and his younger brother Thomas served with the 32nd in the Peninsula, where both had been wounded, while Edward, the 3rd son, was killed at San Sebastian in 1813 while serving with the 9th East Norfolk Regiment. The title of his memoirs, With the 32nd in the Peninsula and Other Campaigns, gives the final reason for his selection. Like the vast majority of Irishmen who fought at Wellington in the Peninsula and Waterloo, Ross Lewin did not serve in what would be termed as Wellington's Irish regiments. Tens of thousands of Irish men fought in English and Scottish regiments. Within the 32nd Cornwall Regiment, 28% of the 662 rank and file present at Waterloo were Irish. Other English and Scottish regiments contained similar percentages, with the 3rd Battalion of the 1st Royal Scots containing over 37% Irish. Overall, it is estimated that between 30 to 40% of the British Army at Waterloo were Irish, while even Wellington himself estimated that up to 50% of his army were in fact Irish. The 32nd Foot embarked at Cork on the 1st of May 1815 and was quartered in Brussels from the 29th of May. Ross Lewin was billeted with a German merchant family where he enjoyed fine wines and good food, noting of his host and Brussels in general that a residence under the roof of such an entertainer while campaigning made some amends for privations endured in the peninsula. During our stay, Brussels was a scene of much gaiety. War seemed to be totally forgotten. This was to end on the night of the 15th of June. The Duchess of Richmond gave a grand ball on the 15th of June. That day I dined with Sir James Kemp. Coffee and a young aide-de-camp from Wellington came in together. This officer was the bearer of a note from the Duke, and while Sir James was reading it said, "Old Blucher has been hard at it. A Prussian officer has just come to the ball, all covered in sweat and dirt, and says there have been much fighting." Our host then rose and said, "Gentlemen, you will proceed to your regiments without delay, and let them get on their arms immediately." We halted at Quatre Bras a little after 2 p.m, there to dispute this important point with the advancing enemy. The ground we occupied for the most part swelled into gentle slopes and extended from the Namur Road on the left to a thick wood on the right called the Bois de Boissou. The Charleroi Road ran through the position, and in front there were some fields of amazingly tall rye. The rye was so tall that to see anything beyond our own ranks was nearly impossible. When we came up, the firing had almost ceased, but it increased again, and shortly after we were engaged with the 2nd Corps of the French Army, led by Marshal Ney. A heavy column advanced against the 5th Division, the officers marching in front, flourishing their swords and encouraging their men. But they were quickly driven back and forced through the hedge at the bottom of the slope upon which we had been drawn up. Such attacks were continued with little intermission, but we maintained our ground, invariably repulsing all the enemy's efforts to gain it. When the hostile cavalry was seen moving up to Les Quatre Bras, the 32nd formed square on the Namur road, as did the 28th, who were on their right and a little in advance. The 42nd, who were still more to the right, were forming square when they were suddenly charged by lancers, whose approach was concealed by a fence and some tall rye before they could complete their formation. 2 companies were nearly all cut to pieces. Colonel Moncara was killed and Colonel Dix, who succeeded him in command, was badly wounded. Cuirassiers had gained crest of the slope when the 92nd, who had been placed there in reserve behind a ditch, rose and threw in a volley so sudden, so well directed, and so deadly in its effects that the cavalry wheeled round and fled with precipitation, leaving many of their dead and wounded. During the action, the Duke of Wellington was reinforced by the 3rd Division. The 69th Regiment had hardly taken up its ground when the French cavalry got in amongst them, caused them considerable loss in killed and wounded. The Belgians held the wood for some time, but at length gave way, and the French were in possession of it when the Guards arrived. The Guards were exposed to a deadly fire from an enemy that were hid behind trees, bushes and banks, and knew well how to take advantage of all such means of defence. Still they dashed on boldly, and finally remained undisputed masters of this important point after 3 hours of hard fighting. The firing ceased as evening closed, and at that time the British occupied a more advanced position than that which they had taken up in the morning. We slept on the ground that night. The losses of the Allies in killed, wounded and prisoners is estimated at 4,000, and that of the French is said to exceed this by 200. A captain of my own regiment toward the close of the day was remarking what a number of escapes he had, and showing how his clothes had been shot through in several places, when a musket ball entered his mouth and killed him on the spot. 2 more of our captains died of their wounds the next morning. It was thought rather singular that the only officers of my regiment who lost their lives at Quatre Bras had been 3 captains, successive in seniority, a leash of Irishmen, Captains Boyce, Casson and Whitty, and the greatest friends generally messing together. Harry Ross Lewin and the 32nd Foot went on to fight at Waterloo on the 18th of June. The regiment numbered 674 officers and men on the 14th of June. On the evening of the 18th, only 120 remained standing. 17 officers and 245 men had been lost at Quatre Bras.
That was the historian Jim Deary reading the recollections of Ross Lewin, and you can follow Jim on Twitter at JDearyJim. Stay tuned to the Napoleon Assist, where more instalments of the Voices from the Battlefield series will be released throughout the day.
Hey folks, I'm Mark Maron from the WTF Podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Kleenex Ultra Soft Tissues, your ally to help tackle your allergy symptoms this season. I love the change of seasons, but nobody loves pollen and all those other things floating in the air that make you sneeze during this nice weather. Kleenex Ultra Soft Tissues are hypoallergenic and allergist approved, so fight back against watery eyes and runny noses without worrying about irritating your skin. For this allergy season, grab Kleenex and face allergies head on.